don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very, very, very special, I don't know what's special about it, it's just a Tuesday evening. Welcome to this 378th episode of the Political Spotlight. Hearing myself, I don't like hearing myself. Welcome. Sorry, I was getting some feedback there. This is the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey, as always. We are here doing the thing. Producer Kate is, well, generally she would be at the controls, and she is here, but she is doing a super, super secret duty at the moment, so she's not actually at the controls at the moment, but she will be back with us momentarily. Welcome. I hope you guys are doing well. Hey, before we get started tonight, I do want to ask that you would please consider, oh my God, we're not going to have the gremlins already. We got too big of a show to be dealing with the gremlins. Go away, gremlins. All right, here we go. They're gone. Please go ahead and do all of the YouTube social media things that there are for you to do. Hit the like, subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. Share the show with everyone you know. That is a way to help us out. And then also, if you want to follow us on social media, the links to follow us on social media are here, and you can see those there up on the screen. Looks like Kate is back. Hello. So, all right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, or she's back. I'm here. And we are going to be talking tonight. I told you guys last night, I told some of you last night that we would be talking about the absolutely horrible Indiana House Bill number 1186. And depending on how everything goes tonight, we might talk about a few other bills or whatnot, but the main focus of tonight's episode is going to be on Indiana House Bill 1186. And what that is, that House Bill 1186 is it's specifically, in my opinion, it is an attack on Indiana law enforcement. And I say that with a little bit of a kind of a caveat, because while some people might say, yeah, that's good, get them under control, get the law enforcement under control, get, in qualified immunity, and make them know it's not doing any of that. It's not doing anything useful. It's not talking about giving them more training. It's not talking about more constitutional understanding. It's not talking about, having them go through more training for mental health, interacting with those with mental health and substance abuse issues. It's not doing anything that's beneficial to, citizens' rights and making citizens safer from maybe police that are overzealous or are not trained up the way they should be. Instead, this Indiana House Bill 1186, while it is, in my opinion, harmful to Indiana law enforcement, it is extremely detrimental to the citizens of Indiana. And so we're going to talk about that and get into what the bill is, why I think it's harmful, and what we can be doing to fight back against it. Before we get there, though, however, I do need to make sure that we are shared up with everywhere we need to be shared. And there's a couple specific people that I want to make sure have the link for tonight's episode so they can share it in specific groups that they are in. And I want to make sure that we're good there. Let me just double check and make sure we're good here. So, along with this, like I said, there are a lot of other issues going on with the Indiana State House. Always, this year's not any different, really. It's like every year it's like this. They get worse and worse. They get further away from doing the work and the will of the people and more into protecting themselves and, writing bills. I've heard that this bill came about because the state representative was being he got pulled over by a police officer in a police vehicle, and there was some back and forth about whether or not the officer had the quote unquote authority or jurisdiction to pull this state representative over, where they were, what was going on, why was this officer where this officer was. And I don't know that full story, and so I'm just telling you those are some of the rumors going around. I don't know how true that is. But, so often we don't see state representatives and state senators writing bills to benefit the citizens of their district or the citizens of Indiana as a whole. What we see happening is state representatives and state senators writing bills because something happened to them personally, or something happened to their mother, or something happened to their sister-in-law, and now their brother, is calling him and being like, "Did you hear what happened to Marge on the way home from the grocery store? This is nonsense. I need you to do something about it." And then they start doing something. Or even worse than that, they get somebody that's running against them during an election, and they just barely pull out a win over this person. And so they're like, whoa, I need to do something to save my ass, to make it harder for people to run against me and my friends. Or they're going out to breakfast on a Friday morning with the local mayor from their district, or the city councilors or commissioners. And those people are like, "Did you hear about those people coming up there and questioning us in those meetings? we need to shut that down. And so what they do is, it's either they're writing to affect something that happened to them or a family member or friends that reached out to them, which is like not necessarily something that benefits their district or the state as a whole at large. Or they're doing something to cover their ass or the asses of their elected friends. And so none of that is like what they're there to be doing. So what a joke. It's absolutely a joke. And this bill is just, it's another bill that's very similar to this. For the sake of argument, let's say the rumor isn't true. Let's say that rumor is not true and that didn't happen. I don't know. This bill is attempting to fix a problem, and there is a minor problem that is out there that this bill would address. The issue is there's already an easier, better way to address the issue on hand. And this bill, this is like bringing a nuclear bomb to a fist fight. It's going to get the job done, but the problem is it causes way too much other collateral damage. You're going to kill your opponent, the person that you're fighting, but you're also going to kill yourself it's like assured mutual destruction. And it's that's like what this is. The problem, this bill is attempting to solve something that there's already a fix for. So that's what we want to focus on tonight. And I want to give just a few more people the chance to jump on, and let them see this and let them know what's happening here. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure that everybody that has this needs this. Hey, while we're waiting, I need to ask you guys a serious question. And this is something that I need from all of you that are here, that are texting, that have been texting. And I've asked you this before, and I never got much of a real response from you all. And so I'm asking you this again, and I need you to consider this. So let me tell you what the issue is. This morning, Brando was doing his thing. He was on his way into work, and he was doing what he does. He got up in the morning, and he was, while driving into his little commute that he was listening to last night's show. And he got in contact with me, and he was like, yo, what is the deal with the ads? And I was like, what are you talking about? Now, I have YouTube Premium. Okay, so what that means is I personally, for my house, my computer, my cell phone, I pay a small little amount. Actually, I don't pay for it now. I got it through, I made some changes to my phone bill. And as a result of those phone bills, Verizon gives me YouTube Premium for the next 2 years for free. Hello there, Road Warrior. Hey, we're getting ready to get into the dreaded House Bill 1186. Please share this out there to all of your law enforcement friends, any groups that you belong into that are Indiana based law enforcement groups. We're going to talk about this and try to battle this from our side of things. But before we get there, and while we allow a few more people to jump on, I need to address this. So he was like, what is going on with these commercials? And I was like, I don't know. I don't deal with commercials. The way that we YouTube creators get paid is by a couple of different ways. All of the people that pay into YouTube premiums, they get all that cash up and then divide it up and give us a fraction of a penny on that. The people that buy memberships, the people that do the things like they like give a $20 super chat or a $10, $5 that way. And then obviously, through monetizing and through ads. Well, when we went to the ads, I set it up for a show that is an hour and 20 minutes or longer to have 3 ad breaks in it. And those ad breaks are skippable. So if you will listen to them all the way through, we get money. That you help us with that. We thank you for doing that. If you listen to like 10 seconds of it or 6 seconds of it or whatever, we get some money or whatever. But if you choose not to, you're in a hurry and you're like, screw the commercials, you can hit the skip and get on past it. And I had set it up for there to be a commercial at about the, 10 minutes in mark, 15 minutes in mark, and then a commercial at the halfway point, and then a commercial at the 10 minutes from the end. And it basically affects people who watch the video on replay or repeat. Okay. So if you don't want to deal with all of that, get in here and watch live. Now, sometimes people who watch live also get an ad, and I don't really understand how that works, but it is what it is. Yes, yes, Brandon Rudd. That specific Brandon is a genius. You are absolutely right. I wish our Brandon was as smart as that Brandon. But it is what it is. We deal. You see the tools we have to work with here. So Brandon sent me this message and was like, what is going on? It's unlistenable. And I'm like, what do you mean it's unlistenable? To hell with you, Brandon. Don't tell me my show's unlistenable. And I got on and I looked. I'm going to show you something. We're getting ready to get into this 1186 talk, I promise you. But I just got to show you this really, really briefly. This is absolutely insane. So I got on last night's program and okay. Let's see here. If you're watching live and you get an ad live, you don't miss content. It pauses it and you pick it up right where it comes. So if you get an ad live, you're not missing anything. I have found that out. Oh, hey, Danny's thoughts. Got a membership. That was you can thank Stumblefoot for that. We don't know who he gifted 5 memberships. We know Karen got one, and we know that you got one. Now we need to find out who the other 3 were. Okay, so just briefly before we get into this, I know this is going to be a little hard to see. I'm trying to make this easy. So here is kind of what the back side of the channel looks like. And I know it might be hard, but if you look down here, here's the beginning of the episode and here's the end of the episode. And each one of these little gray little gray bars, each one of those is a commercial break. I counted them, and in last night's episode, which was a total of 2 hours and 29 minutes. In last night's episode, that was 2 hours and 29 minutes. There were 62 commercials. Man, we are talking about making the big bucks here. That is absolutely ludicrous. I would never have set that up. I had it set up for 3. So it gave me exactly, those 3 and then a shit ton more. So like, I don't understand why this happened. This is ludicrous. I would never, ever, ever, ever have done that. As you can see down here, each one of those gray bars was a freaking commercial. So I went through and I deleted them. I am asking you out there, please, if you're listening, if you are listening to the show live or via replay, and an ad is kicking in every 2.5 minutes, shoot me a message, text me, call me, messenger, carrier pigeon, something. Let me know, because I am not ever going to do that to you. I would never do that. That I would not listen to a program like that. That's unlistenable. That's like Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas does that. And that's not our side of YouTube. So please, if you're having trouble, if you're ever having any kind of listening issue, if you're having trouble logging on, if you're having trouble getting in, if you're having trouble texting, commenting, whatever the deal is, do not just say, oh, well, screw it and get out. Let me know. I will fix it. I will fix it. I will fix it. I will fix it. I know what it is. Kate is sabotaging us, trying to get a raise is what she's doing. And so, because I this is nuts. So let me know. We'll fix it. If you're getting like 8,000 ads per episode, please. Well, Tweety Bird, I'm happy to hear that. Now, see, I don't know how many times you watch via replay or watch live. You're normally here during live. So if you're going back and watching replay, if you're not watching replay, you probably won't notice. But I just wanted to put that out there, pass it along, talk about it, think about it. If you're noticing a problem, let me know, because we would never set that shit up like that. That's ridiculous. All right, on to the seriousness of why we're here. We are in the crazy time of what's happening here. We are in the point in time where the Indiana General Assembly, the 124th session of the Indiana General Assembly, they are meeting in committee. So all these various bills are being sent off to committee, and they are either going there to die, where they will never be heard and nothing will ever happen and it'll all be blah, or they're going there to be voted on and passed through to, jam it down our throat. Now, any one of you out there will be able to go on here and look at any of this by going to the Indiana General Assembly website, and you just simply go, you go there, and let me take you home and I'll show you what you're looking like. Here's the home link. This is what happens when you go there. If you want to look up the bills that are currently being discussed, you come down here and you toggle along these things to where you see legislation, and you click it down, and you go and you click on bills. Click on bills, and it takes you to the Indiana Senate bills and the Indiana House bills. and you can look down here and find any of them. Now, as they start to die and they don't get passed, they will gray out and they will go away. You won't be able to click on them. We don't have any of them doing that yet, but that will happen and they will go away. Oh yeah, right here. So Senate Bill 158, public safety. You can see if you can look at that, you can tell there's a difference between Senate Bill 157, which is blue, and Senate Bill 158, which is gray. Can you see the difference there? So that's what it looks like when it changes. All right. And so you can go back and forth between the Senate side and the House side. Okay. And they're no different. There are idiots on both sides of this. And there are a bunch of, look, we are a Republican state, ladies and gentlemen. We have 100 House representatives. We have 50 state senators. That means we have 150 total state legislators, and they are they're horrible. The whole lot of them, there's only a very, very, very small group that give a damn about doing their actual job. Okay. And so out of the 100 state representatives, 70 of these people are supposed to be Republican, supposed to be constitutionally minded conservatives, and they're not. They are self-serving assholes. All right. There are 30 Democrats. And what's interesting is it divides up into, out of those 30 Democrats, you have some of them that are the whacked out, way crazy progressive nut jobs. And then you have some that are amazingly more conservative than the Republicans, but they are so few and far between of them, it doesn't matter. They can't get anything done. So there's 100 state representatives, and the breakdown is 70 Republicans and 30 Democrats. And that's, that sucks. Now, when you go to the Indiana Senate, it's even more wild than that, because the Indiana Senate, there's only 50 of them total, and out of the 50 of them, 40 of those 50 are Republicans and 10 are Democrat, and they are just as crazy. The senators serve 4-year terms, so every 4 years they're up for elections, and the state representatives, like their federal counterparts, they're up every 2 years. So we're electing these people all the time, and we should be able to toss them out, but it takes teamwork. Now, getting specifically into this bill, okay, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on this and let you guys see this. So this is Indiana House Bill 1186. And look, it's just titled Law Enforcement Matters. Yay, look, maybe it's going to help law enforcement. It's going to be wonderful for those people in Indiana, okay? And we see that this was authored by State Representative Steve Bartels, okay? Steve Bartels is a Republican, and he is down from like the Indianapolis area, all right? So I don't know how many people are here watching this that are in his district, but that's where he's from, District 74, okay? And
we've lost Kristopher. Well, conveniently enough, I was actually paying attention, so that's unusual. Oh, here he comes.
One of those days. They don't want me talking about it, I guess.
I guess. Incidentally, that bill that you talked about that had gone from blue to gray,
Yeah.
that one was about rotational turns in a vehicle.
Oh yes. Yeah. Isn't that
So
interesting?
if you skid your vehicle, it's now it would be a misdemeanor.
Oh my God. Okay.
They decided that one wasn't that important, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Now I want to get
Along
here.
with 90% of these that they have, because there's over 1,200 bills.
Yeah.
Didn't they say that, that they really need to be focusing on budget?
Yeah. Right.
Budget's a big thing.
Right.
And so you need to be, really conservative with how many bills you're going to be presenting this year, because we really need to work on that budget.
Yeah.
If 1,200 bills being presented is conservative, we are so fucked.
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now Ron Jones says, and I don't know if everybody remembers this same bill gets brought up every year somehow, some way, and basically what this is you get somebody out there who is a state representative that used to be a trooper, or you get somebody out there that was a former police officer, and they get this hard on. They hate a certain subsect of police officers, and we'll get to that in a minute. But Ron says when Sandlin attempted this bill, and Sandlin did it every couple of years, but it was found that he had a vested interest in a security company. Go figure, and that's interesting. Now I want to go back up here really quickly, and I want to focus on what my friend Chris here said. IMPD and state will not have the manpower to cover all the big events held at the stadiums, fairgrounds, convention centers. If they could, then why haven't they been able to? If they would happen to do these events, the hourly rate per officer for overtime would be absolutely crazy amount. ILEA and the ILEA Training Board just needs to hold the agencies and their local government officials that oversee the department or department heads accountable for the ones who do not complete all the mandatory training. Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you, it goes to, for me, it goes beyond that. So I actually, when this first started, I was calling this the Sproles bill, because if you all remember, Henry County Sheriff John Sproles, who is a forever FNG, all right, this man is sheriff of the county, and he became sheriff of the county with 3 years of training. This is a man who literally, had he been at a bigger department, had he been in Muncie, had he been at IMPD, he would have washed out in the field training process. John Sproles is a laughable joke. He has hurt the citizens of Henry County in just massive amounts of different ways. And we have shown time after time again that he has a screw loose. Okay. That being said, even a broken clock can be, not always, his clock's so broken, like the hands are off of it. So he's not even normally right twice a day. But amazingly, I did kind of buy into some of his complaints about the badge factory departments. Listen, before we get into the bill, let's just be real serious here. In law enforcement in Indiana, as I've said last night, the majority of us are not in, like, I live in Muncie. We have a big department here, okay? You live in Indianapolis, you've got a big department. You live in Fort Wayne, you've got a big department. You live in Anderson, you've got a big department. You live in Evansville, you got a big department. You live in Hamilton County, you've got a large sheriff's department with lots of money and lots of cool toys. Let's say, for the sake of argument, though, that you live in Blackford County, and so your sheriff's department is tiny. Let's say that you live in Kosciuszko County, and the sheriff's department is tiny. There are sheriff's departments out there that I'm sure are operating with 10 full-time guys. Well, when you've got 10 full-time guys on there, there is 1,000% a place for reserves, for well-trained, well-mannered reserves that are doing a damn good job. Listen, there are reserves out there that reserves come from all spectrum. Okay. There are young guys that want to get into law enforcement, and they're out there applying to every place out there under the sun, but they're just they're not getting picked up or whatever. Or maybe they go through something and they're going through the hiring process and they don't get picked up the first time. So they get on as a reserve someplace to get the training and experience, and they take it serious. And they go through and they kick ass and they do everything they're supposed to. There are reserves out there who are people who have men who have worked in factories or owned their own businesses or did whatever. They've retired, or maybe they're independently wealthy because they own a business or whatever, and they've always had this idea of being in law enforcement, but it just never came to fruition for them. So they go out and they become a reserve, and they take it serious. They're pillars of the community. They're doing the right thing. They go to all the training, and they do the things they want to do, and they are well trained. And then you've got people all over the spectrum. Okay. You've got retired law enforcement officers who retire, who, they reach 20, 25 years, 30 years on, and they're ready to not do it every day, but they want to keep their law enforcement training and powers up. So they go and they're a reserve, and they are a wealth of knowledge on the department as a reserve. You have the reserves that go in and only work their mandatory one shift a week, or two shifts a month, and they do that and they leave. There are reserves that go. I know reserves that have worked 4 or 5 days a week. There was a reserve on the Delaware County Sheriff's Department for a long time. Hell, he might still be there. I would think not, but Ron Ragland was a reserve. He had a take-home car. He worked 4 days a week. He was there and accountable. They could count on him, and he was every bit as knowledgeable as anyone who had been on the road, and had 10 years as a full-time deputy. And so that's the thing. Kristopher is here saying small agencies like Eaton, Gaston, Selma, and many others can't afford to hire 10 or more full-time guys in order to maintain 24/7 coverage every day for their community. The reserve officers actually put a lot of money of their own to do the job. That's absolutely true. Now listen, yes. Before we even deal with 1186, I just want to get some of these truths out. There are also reserves that are complete, absolute asshole idiots. There are reserves that want to get on and get the badge so they can pick up chicks, so they can pick up dudes, so they can get free food, so they can break the law, just like anything else. There are good preachers. There are bad preachers. There are good construction. There are bad construction. There are good full-time police officers. There are bad full-time police officers. There are good reserves and there are bad reserves. And when you have a reserve on your department that's not getting the training they're supposed to be, that's not taking it serious, that's not coming out and pulling their weight, there's already mechanisms in place to deal with that. Now, I do think that there needs to be pressure applied to the chiefs of the departments, to the marshals of the departments, to the sheriffs of the departments, to put pressure to say, hey, we expect, the citizens of Indiana expect a level of training and professionality out of these folks, and we're not going to put up with the nonsense. There are also reserves who go in to get a badge and they don't care anything about working the town, working the city, working the county. All they care about is going and doing security side gigs where they can make lots and lots and lots of money. And I got to be honest, if you have a guy coming on to do that, if they're not putting their main priority into training and to knowing what they're supposed to be and to protecting the town, they should not have a badge, period. I'm very hardcore on that. Security gigs need to be a second place. The primary focus needs to be giving back to the community that is giving you your law enforcement powers. Okay? Period. So.
Yeah, but the towns can do that.
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
all
not putting
yeah.
the hours in in our town, but you seem to be able to go off gallivant and go work a security gig. Well, then we're just going to yank your badge.
Yeah, it's not that hard. Yeah,
you work here and
Yep.
you put in so many hours, or you don't have a badge anymore. Period.
Yep. And
but that's up to the towns to enforce that.
Yep, you stay up on your training, right? And the chief of police, the town councils, the city councils, they can already do that. There don't need to be another law in place
Right.
to do that.
No, but there's a couple articles in the chat for you.
Yeah.
And it's talking about small departments who are worried about this, but it's also talking about like Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Who when we have big events here in the state, they use a lot of these reserve guys to help with security and traffic and things like that. So, I mean, this is detrimental, not just to the small towns, but it's also for public safety in big events and stuff. So
sure.
I
Well,
thought you'd be interested in those. And
absolutely.
those will be published today. So these
and where did you put them? They're in the private chat. Yeah, okay, very good. I'll pull those up. So and I promise you all, we're gonna get to this law and all of this. I just want to set some important standards before we get there. The other thing, and the last thing I want to say about this before we get into all of this is there are a couple trains of thought. Okay, so there are some departments that already say our reserves have their police powers when they're working, and when they're working, they don't have them going out answering just regular calls like a regular full-time officer. They have them standing blocking roads during parades, or they have them called in and they do traffic or whatever. Some departments do that. But there are other departments, both big and small, who say, nope, listen, if our reserves are doing what they're supposed to be doing and keeping their training up and they're coming in and working, we look at them as a full-time officer. They're working, they're doing the road. They take calls side by side with our full-time guys. There are some departments that in Eaton and small departments that there are times when the only officer on is a reserve. And, if there's a murder in the town, that officer is taking that call. If there is a bank robbery, that officer is calling for backup and they're taking that call. If there's an active shooter, they're taking that, they're doing everything that your 20-year veteran from law enforcement that is full-time is doing. Everything, okay? So the department and its elected officials and its town, the citizens, they have to decide what they want, and they can police that, no pun intended, okay? And so that's fine. I tend to be of the mind that if your reserves are putting in the time and putting in the effort and they're putting in the training and they're doing well and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, I have no problem of having that reserve have full police power on and off duty. To me, I look at that as supplementing the team. And you got to think about this. Do you know how many crazy things have been stopped by reserves? By a reserve, most police officers, departments are. it's in their standard operating procedures that they carry off duty, or at least they really recommend that they carry off duty. Not all of them do, and not all of them force them to. It's professional, or it's a personal decision. I carry every place I carry everywhere I go that I am legally allowed to carry. And I don't leave home without it. And sometimes I'm carrying 2 or more, and that's for me to know and you to find out, I guess. But that's very big. Okay. And that's absolutely true. Sarge, that is true. And so the thing is here, when you're out in the world and shit hits the fan, having these reserves out there who are, they've got a gun on their hip, concealed or in the car, and they've got a badge in their pocket, an ID in their pocket, that's not a bad thing to have. If somebody's abusing something and abusing their power, yank their ass out, yank the badge back, yank the ID back, and be done with it. Wash them out. That's fine. But there are a lot of good reserve officers. Now, doing the security, there's a lot of security gigs that require officers, plain clothes. They require the car. They require just the uniform. Events down in Indianapolis, Colts games, and the convention center, and all of that stuff. And yes, they count on both full time and part time and reserve officers. And I want to make sure there's a difference between a reserve and a part time. Full time is a person who's working, their full time job, 40 hours a week, 80 hours a pay period or whatever. They're getting paid to be there. They're a police officer. They've been through the Indiana Law Enforcement Training Academy, and they are a full-time officer, and that's their job. Part-time is an officer who has been through the academy and gets paid to be a police officer, but they work in a municipality, in a town where they can't afford to pay him full time, but they pay him part time. A lot of those guys, they'll work a couple different positions. They might work two different departments. There's some departments that don't care if you have dual badges, and they'll do that. And then there are reserves who are doing it of their own free will, putting their money in. And all of those guys will work extra jobs. Listen, you don't get paid a lot as a police officer. So full-time police officers will work security, part-time officers will work security, and reserve officers will work security. And there are some officers who they work as a reserve, and their full-time gig is security. Now, I can see why people have some issue with that. As long as they're staying within the bounds and they're doing the right, and their town knows and their chief knows, and everything is legit, I don't have a problem with that. Working security down at the Colts games, down at the convention center, it's a legitimate, nothing crazy is going on down there. And if you're an officer going down there and you're jacking around, they'll boot your ass out of there so fast. So they don't put up with nonsense. Okay. So there are some gigs, where people do stupid stuff. They go and they're going to work like security at a bar. And, a lot of departments won't allow you to do that. So, you get these officers that push the limit and things like that. A lot of departments say you can't work where there's alcohol, and yada, yada, yada. So they put stuff in place to stop that. Sean Long says, Bilbrey, I wish I could go to a tier 1 through my agency, but I can't because ILEA won't make an easier way. I have no way to tier 1 through my department because I'm not full-time. Yeah, right. See, that's absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, let's be honest, Sarge. The pre-basic isn't enough to be successful, but the vast restriction of powers isn't the solution. Absolutely, absolutely. Some reserves start out with a 40-hour pre-basic only, then field hours on the road. Then they are released. There are some reserves that also attend reserve school onto all of the above training. Yeah, listen, there are a lot of officers out there who are looking to do this full time and get someplace, and they're out there sucking up every bit of training they can. And there are legitimate, I mean, people might laugh at this, but there are legitimate officers that are reserves that probably could run circles around full-time guys just because of the years. I mean, I know that there are reserves that have put in 20 years on a department, and are, I would go through a door with them in a heartbeat, and so that's absolutely, and then there are some that are a joke. Okay. Sean says, if they made a bridge or some hybrid program, we could fill vacancies across the state. Absolutely. Ultimately there has to be a compromise to keep this bill from coming up every year. I would be for a standard reserve academy model after tier 2, but ILEA cannot gatekeep it like they are now. Yeah, that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. So let's look at what this what this bill is and what this says. Okay. So going here and looking at what the bill as written by Steve Bartels and co-authored by Matt Commons. Matt Commons is state representative from District 13. Okay. So basically the bill says, I'm going to pull this up here so we can see this. Okay. 1186 provides that a correctional professional is considered a public safety officer for purposes of determining eligibility for line of duty death benefits. I don't know that there's anybody out there that disagrees with that. That's wonderful. I'm all for that. I am all for that. Current law provides that a correctional officer is considered a public safety officer for determining eligibility line of death benefits. Provides that a law enforcement officer who okay, so the first thing I'm okay with. Now let's get down here to this next sentence. Provides that a law enforcement officer who, 1, has successfully completed tier 2 or tier 3 basic requirements, or 2, has completed a pre-basic program and will timely complete tier 2 or tier 3 basic training requirements, may only exercise police powers when the law enforcement officer is carrying out the duties of the law enforcement agency that appointed the law enforcement officer within the geographical jurisdiction of the appointing law enforcement agency. Provides that a tier 2 or tier 3 program graduate may exercise certain police powers outside the jurisdiction of the appointing law enforcement agency if the appointing law enforcement agency enters into an agreement with another law enforcement agency that authorized to employ a tier 2 or tier 3 program graduate, or an entity that sets forth the extent of police powers the law enforcement officer may exercise, makes changes to penalties for highway worksite violations, increases the penalty for criminal recklessness from a Class B to a Class A misdemeanor, provides that criminal recklessness is a level 6 felony if the crime is committed while armed with a deadly weapon or is committed while operating a vehicle. It's a level 5 felony if the person committed pointing a firearm while committing aggressive driving. Level 4 felony if the crime is committed by shooting a firearm into a dwelling or another building or place where people are likely to gather, or the person commits aggressive driving that results in serious bodily injury to another person. Or level 3 felony if the crime is committed by shooting a firearm into an occupied motor vehicle, or the person committed aggressive driving that results in the death, catastrophic injury, or of another person. Provides that a level 3, 4, or 5 felony of criminal recklessness is considered a serious violent felony for purposes of unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon. Adds a hospital police department to the definition of police departments required to provide police officers with certain rights. So I'm okay with this bottom thing. I'm okay with what goes on here where we get into making changes of the penalties. Okay, I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with this top part. What I am not okay with is what we see from this part down to here, basically. What you see in the blue. And that's what happens at the State House, right? Like, I think that this needs to be something that cannot happen. I don't like the idea of shoehorning a bunch of shit together where like 3 things are okay and 1 thing is like wildly insane. And it's like, well, if you want these 3 things, you've got to... No. Let's amend this to where we strike this bullshit and then let's pass this bill. But this bill, unfortunately, for the highway people, unfortunately, for the correctional officers, this bill like this cannot be passed in this way. Now, I've heard... Yeah, that's the other thing Ron Jones is saying. So Ron Jones is saying that's a very important thing. There is an amendment that is apparently coming to this that says that they are stripping the tier 2 out of this so that this will solely target reserves. And man, they don't understand. I hope people understand how this is not... There's people out there that are not paying attention to this, that don't care about this because they're like, oh, this is just affecting those law enforcement officers, those guys out there that are trying to violate our rights and they're assholes. No, man. This is going to affect you sitting in your small little town, sitting out there in the unincorporated area of Podunk, small-ass county, Indiana. And when you pick up the phone to call 911 for help some night at 2:30 in the morning, when your county only has 1 guy on the road, and that small town down the street that could do, a mutual aid, can't get to your house because there's nobody on, because nobody works anymore, because they've screwed the reserves over. Dude, this is going to affect citizens. And I agree with what Ron said. There has to be some kind of a we've got to come to some kind of an agreement so this isn't being fought for 3 months out of every year by these people. It's insane. It's nuts. And, this is to me like J.D. Prescott from District 33 putting up every year that he's formally writing a bill so that the Indiana state can officially be defined as the Hoosier state because Harry Hoosier came up with it, and yada yada yada. It's like, what a circle jerk waste of time bill is that? How is that helping anybody? What is that doing? Don't put that forward again anymore, stupid. That's not doing anything for anybody, and this is really, really crazy. We have to call, we have to email, and we have to tell our representatives, no, we do not want this. And listen, always before things like this would die in committee, okay, I'm worried about what we're seeing, that it's going to pass out of committee and it's going to go to the full vote. That's really, really concerning to me, because it passed today out of committee 9-2. 9-2. Now, before we go on, I want to give you guys a full understanding, because some people are like, well, wait a minute. What are we even talking about here? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, unless you've been in this, that means nothing to you. So really quickly, where we're going to go over, and I want you guys to observe this. Just had a call a few weeks ago, domestic with a gun in a neighboring county. My partner and I were closer. We beat the other county by 10 minutes. Could you imagine if we couldn't go because of an agreement? I know, dude. This is asinine to me. That they're willing. ILEA should be standing up and fighting against this. And I know that a bunch of the I know that there are a bunch of police organizations that are coming out. We'll look over those here in a minute. But I just want to give you guys an understanding of this. So basic training, tier 1. The Academy's basic course for new police officers consists of over 600 hours of training in various areas: criminal and traffic law, firearms, emergency vehicles, operations, physical tactics, EMS awareness, human behavior, and some of the major areas of instruction during this course. A variety of other police-related subjects, such as accident investigation, criminal investigation, domestic violence, sexual assault, water rescue training, standardized field sobriety tests, crime prevention, drug and narcotics, are included in the area of officer must study before graduating. The course study is designed to incorporate practical as well as classroom exercises, so the officers have a better idea of how they will react to situations they will encounter when they return to their departments. And then it goes through, Evo course, physical trainings, firearms, vehicle, criminal investigation, physical tactics, domestic violence. It goes through basically all of this. All right. And so, this is what it is. It goes and talks to you about basically what this is. So this is kind of what this is. And all right, what this is is this is what, like, for example, if you are if you are going to be a Muncie City police officer, if you're going to be a police officer in Winchester, if you're going to be a police officer in Anderson, and then even a lot of the town departments go through this, specifically if they've got 5 or more officers. This is what the law enforcement. It's 15 weeks, and then there's a 16-week graduation, and this is what this is. Okay, tier 2. And this is a tier 2 basic training program is provided for certain agencies that are allowed to have less than tier 1 basic training program. The tier 2 program is designed those special enforcement agencies making only occasional arrests, which this is such a weird thing, honestly. Whatever. The Tier 2 program is approximately half the length of the Tier 1 program. Agencies currently authorized to participate in the Tier 2 programs are those qualifying for Town Marshal Program, 3 or fewer paid officers, gaming agents, DOC police, and hospital police. The Tier 2 program presently has 1 week home study portion that must be completed before reporting to the Academy. Applicants must be able to successfully complete the background check by their department and pass physical examination. Those eligible for participation in the Tier 2 program may instead roll in the Tier 1 program. So if you like, this is like, for example, I'm going to give you a for example. All of the I've heard the current tier 2 is literally almost identical other than 2 classes. Well, and it's half the time. So instead of being wow, okay, so has that changed? It's only 40 hours shorter now. I did not know that. Back when that's crazy. So things are changing. Yeah, and that's exactly right. Gatekeeping by ILEA. That is exactly correct. That's very interesting. Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, going down here to basic training tier 3. A tier 3 basic training program is provided for certain agencies that are specifically oriented towards investigative duties. Such agencies as Medicaid Fraud Division, Secretary of State investigators, Inspector General investigators, and prosecuting attorney investigators may participate in this course. This program is approximately 3 weeks in length, with part of the program incorporating the LETB pre-basic course. The curriculum in this course is oriented to those who conduct more sophisticated investigations but make very few criminal custodial arrests. Those eligible for participation in the Tier 3 program may instead roll in either the Tier 2 or the Tier 1 programs. So it's kind of like if you're eligible for Tier 3, you could take Tier 2 and Tier 1. If you're eligible for Tier 2, you can take Tier 1. But what you can't do is, like, you can't get hired in Muncie and then only go to Tier 3. Or you can't get hired in Muncie and go to only Tier, So that's that. The other thing is there is a 40-hour pre-basic. Now, what's really important for everyone to understand is you have to take this 40-hour pre-basic for all of this. You have to take the 40-hour pre-basic for everything. And it's this that gives, taking this through your class, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. That's what gives you your law enforcement ability, your arrest power, your police power. You say you get hired by Muncie and you take your 40-hour pre-basic, you're now a law enforcement officer with arrest power when you're in a field training, and you might not go to the academy for 9 months. They might not be able to get you in to the academy for 9 months. Some people get hired and go straight away. Some people might not go for 9 months. So during that 9-month period, what's going on? Well, you've taken your 40-hour pre-basic. You're full-time. You're getting paid. You're going to work. But you're in your field training and you're with a partner learning quite a bit, learning a lot. And so, it's just interesting. Yeah. What's very important is the physics and entry standard and exit standards are all different. And that is a biggie too. That is something that is important to note. So that's that. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to, look at some of these. This has been making rounds on the media. Now, every year that this comes up and this is fought, generally what happens is this comes up, and the only people to ever really care about this, the only people to ever really get all, excited about this is those in law enforcement and those, the reserves and people around that. Normally this doesn't make media or whatever. I think this is interesting because this is scary, because to me this has more teeth and it seems like it's got more steam behind it this time, and it's got more power, and so it's scary, but it also seems like it's getting more attention this time too, which is good. What's interesting to me is those guys that started out as reserves, then they become full-time and immediately hate on reserves. And you have that, and that's, talk about a trash human being. Somebody that started out as a reserve and then followed their heart, did their training, did what they needed to do, busted ass, got to live their dream, got, over, and then immediately start hating on reserves. I never hated on reserves. There's never a reason. There are reserves that are, listen, everybody that's been on a department knows those people that are like, oh my God, like, this dude's trying too hard. It's all that FNG thing. They want to pull over everything that moves. They want to arrest their mother. They're like, oh, I would give my mom a speeding ticket if she was speeding. It's like, come on, dude. What happens if you're driving through your city and you see an officer, or you see a car that's speeding, and it's an officer from Atlanta, Georgia. If he's speeding, I'm going to give him a ticket. Everybody knows that you're not going to give him no ticket. Shut up, sit down. That's the thing. Like, normally you break, those that can get broken out of the FNG. That can get, or those people get washed out. That's what happens. And that apparently never got washed out of John Sproles, but I digress. Okay. Moving on to this being in the media. I want to go here and let you guys see this.
Can I show you something first, though?
Yeah.
So this was what the Muncie Star put up. They went through the different bills that are up this session that might affect law enforcement. They did a whole article about it.
Wow.
And this is what they had to say about 1186.
Okay.
Line of duty benefits. House Bill 1186 would consider an officer at a correctional facility to be eligible for line of duty death benefits. That's what they say this bill does.
Wow. See, this is really scary.
See, that makes me sound like shit. Yeah, this is something I definitely want to support.
Yeah.
But you read the whole bill. I mean, so they are marketing this in a way that is really dishonest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good catch, Kate. I hadn't seen that. That's a really good catch. When was that in the paper? Was that like today?
5 days ago.
Oh wow, okay. So for all of you guys out there that are fighting this, understand that this is being pushed that way. That's nuts. Stumblefoot. Okay, so this says Indiana Police Department's voice opposition to House Bill 1186. Southport. Some police departments in Indiana have begun to oppose a new bill that could limit the authority of reserve officers in the state. 1186, which was authored by Steve Bartels, District 74, could prevent officers without certain training from exercising full police powers while off duty or out of their jurisdiction. Officers without full Tier 1 training will only be allowed to operate outside their jurisdiction if their employing agency has an agreement in place with another department in the area. If such officers' departments do not have deals with other area agencies, out of jurisdictions officers with limited training will not be allowed to exercise their police powers under 1186. A Tier 2 or Tier 3 program graduate may exercise certain police powers outside the jurisdiction of the appointing law enforcement agency, Bartels wrote in the bill. If the appointing law enforcement agency enters agreement with another law enforcement agency, that is authorized to employ a Tier 2 or Tier 3 program graduate. The Southport Police Department took a firm stance against the bill. Dear Southport residents, we need your help to stand up for the safety of our community and law enforcement officers who serve and protect us daily. Agency leaders wrote in the Facebook post. Indiana House Representative Steve Bartels has authored House Bill 1186, which would drastically limit the police authority of reserve officers and other officers with certifications outside of Tier 1. The Southport Police Department leadership then highlighted several key impacts that 1186 could have on law enforcement officers. The top issue that the Southport Police Department took with the bill is that it could restrict police authority and prevent some officers from exercising police powers when they are off duty or out of their jurisdiction. This also includes a significant restriction on police powers while working for Southport, that the leadership wrote, as officers would lose authority once they leave the city limits unless they are in pursuit of a suspect. Southport PD also contends that the bill would prevent officers from seeking off-duty employment. The department insinuated that the bill could hinder security details at major venues that rely on off-duty officers like Gainbridge Fieldhouse and Lucas Oil Stadium. The leadership also indicated the bill could financially harm officers who rely on income they earn via part-time off-duty employment. According to the Post, the bill could weaken community safety in Southport. The department's leadership argued that the limitations the bill could create might harm small police agencies that rely on reserves to fill out their roster and maintain public safety. The bill is detrimental to Southport, Marion County, and the entire state of Indiana, especially as we face a law enforcement manpower crisis, which is very true. Southport leadership wrote in its Facebook post, our reserve officers play a critical role in keeping Southport safe, and this bill threatens their ability to perform their duties and support our community. The Indiana Law Enforcement Training Academy Tier 1 basic training takes more than 600 hours to complete. The training teaches prospective police officers how to operate emergency vehicles, use firearms, and investigate crashes and criminal activity. The Tier 1 training must also complete physical fitness, domestic violence, yada, yada, yada. We've already went over all that. Those who complete Tier 3 training are often employed in investigative agencies like Indiana Medicare. We've done that. Tier 3 training program was established in 2011 as a minimum basic training for LEOs whose geographical or statutory jurisdiction was limited. The ILEA's website reads, the course is designed to provide these investigators with basic skills to conduct a number of different investigations. These skills include, but are not limited to, interviewing, interrogation, evidence collection, preservation, photography, statement analysis, and report writing. Per ILEA, Tier 2 basic training is about 50% shorter than Tier 1, but we're hearing that that's not true. In addition to Southport, Monrovia, and Eaton police departments also issued statement about their dissatisfaction with the bill. House Bill 1186 had its first reading on January 8. No additional action related to the bill have been posted on the website yet. But that is not true. As of today, that is not true. So let's see here. Let me go here and see if we can take a look at what's happened here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Search for meeting.
I represent Orange, Perry, Spencer, Du Bois, and Crawford counties. We'll go ahead and start with introductions with Representative Lauer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I'm Ryan Lauer. I represent Columbus and Bartholomew County.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Jim Lucas, District 69, most of Jackson, parts of Bartholomew, Washington, and Scott County.
Representative Matt Commons, House District 13, represent parts of Newton, Jasper, White, all of Benton, all of Warren, parts of Tippy, Montgomery, and Fountain.
I'm Sheila Clinker, District 27, Lafayette, Indiana.
Chuck Mosley, District 10, Porter County.
Becky Cash, District 25, parts of Boone and Hendricks County.
Ethan Lawson, District 53, Hancock and Madison County.
Chris Judy, District 83, which is portions of Allen and Whitley County.
Come on. I'm not going to do this. Let's go.
Good morning, Tim O'Brien, House District 78, portions of Vanderbilt.
Get through all this bullshit. What's happening here?
All right, well, thank you. So I want to remind everybody in the audience to please be respectful.
So the chair of this committee is the author of this bill.
Other officers and citizens that we see a lot of these officers exercising these police powers outside of their jurisdiction, wearing a police uniform, sometimes in a car that's may or may not be marked what we would consider to the standards, and we're seeing these issues. So that's what we're trying to address in this. I won't be real specific. Man, my medicine specific, but that's what we're going to try to be addressing today a little bit.
His medicine.
Go to
Does that
page
mean he's
Yeah,
drunk?
right.
adding the correctional officers and correctional
What
professionals.
medicine's making you slur, Mr. Bartels, Representative Bartels? I don't see Sproles here. It'll be interesting. That's interesting because you think that he would be all over this.
To the public safety officer list definition. This just basically would give them in the light of duty death benefits. Page 13 is where we start looking at raising the penalties on felony to a felony 5 if a motorist intentionally tries to hurt a highway worker. This also raises the penalty to a level 6 felony if a motorist is engaged in a speed contest while highway workers are present. With that, also, the rest of this bill is the language deals with addressing firearms and vehicles. So now if a motorist commits an aggressive driving under current code while pointing a firearm, they can be charged with a level 5 felony. It becomes a level 4 felony if serious bodily injury results to another person. If the firearm is actually shot into an occupied vehicle, the penalty would go up to a level 3 felony. That's the basis of the bill. There are going to be 2 amendments. Madam Chair, you moved. If we could just talk about amendment number 1.
Yes, go ahead.
So amendment number 1, the beginning of that basically addresses adding the reserve police officers and special deputies to the bill. And that's the thing we're going to talk about it, but we're not going to really move forward on what we're going to the language will actually be. But the second part of the amendment is important to talk about and get some feedback on. And under current law, resource officers cannot pursue a flee of somebody fleeing. We went through and tried to figure out why that was in code. And all we can find out is that we adopted language from another state that had it in there, and there's no particular reason. So what this would do, this amendment would be allowing school resource officers to be able to pursue somebody if they have probable cause to go after them. It also now, because all SORs are Tier 1 trained, currently they do not have statewide jurisdiction, and just like we did for hospital police, this would provide them the opportunity to have statewide jurisdiction if their corporation gives them the authority to do so. And that is the basis of amendment number 1.
Okay. Do we want to discuss that, or are you requesting that it be taken?
I think you should ask for a question.
Okay. Do we have any discussions on amendment number 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Consent and the amendment is taken.
So the amendment is adopted by consent. Amendment number 2. Amendment number 2 is a technical correction on the last page. Does anybody have any questions about what it really does? If you look at it, it just basically puts it in line with the rest of the code.
Okay. Can we take that by consent?
Consent.
Consent. The amendment is taken by consent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have an amended bill. I recommend just taking testimony.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up testimony. Do we have our list of people? Okay, the first person we have is Jay Hart. And then on deck will be Ryan Swank.
I have some concerns with this bill. My family.
Is your mic on?
No, his mic's not on.
How's that? There we
There
go.
we go.
All right, Jay Hart. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. Like many families in Indiana, I live in a distant corner of my county, and one of the issues that I take with the bill is that and I understand that there are some problems that need to be worked out, and I'm hoping that we can work out those problems without creating some other issues for families around Indiana. Out of the 92 counties, there's probably a lot of counties that have families in a similar situation to mine. I'm in the far southeast corner of Morgan County.
Yes.
The nearest town to me is Morgantown PD, and they utilize the Tier 2 police officers. We don't typically see deputies from our county in our corner, and I think that's true for many of the counties. And so we would rely on as a second line of defense. We are our first line of defense. My daughter, she's a pretty good shot, but we rely on our police department in Morgantown. They would more likely be the first responder to our home if we had an issue. And the bill seems to read that some of the Tier 2 police officers at that department would basically have to wait at the street and wait on a deputy to arrive. And that's one of the concerns that I have with the bill. And it seems to read that way. And that's one of my big questions. I think a question a lot of families around the state.
Do we have any questions from the committee? Chairman Bartels.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So would you consider the concept that these folks that are in that in-between stage, that 5-day training, should they be limited to their jurisdiction unless there's an agreement to go outside that?
Is that it was my understanding that there's a difference between those, the 40-hour and the Tier 2, the qualified people at Tier 2.
Yeah.
For Tier 2 was my question. It was like, if the academy is saying that the Tier 2 guys are qualified and have the ability to police in one jurisdiction, and then why wouldn't they have the qualifications to police 10 feet away on the other side of the city line?
So would you be in favor if it was only limited those folks that have not completed Tier 2?
Listen to me, folks. This is real scary. I'm telling you. This, they're going to screw reserves on this. They are going to screw reserves on this. I'm telling you, this is coming down. This is really scary with what they're doing here. And I'm telling you, everybody needs to put that out there. Everybody needs to be ready to fight this, and people need to be speaking out. This is going to pass in committee, and it's going to go to the full House. So I'm telling you guys, you need to be on the phone. People need to be calling. You need to go to the Indiana General Assembly website. Look, go to the Indiana General Assembly website, and you come up here and you hit search. You hit that little, this is what you hit, the magnifying glass. And then you come here and you type in legislator. You click that and you come here and you type in your legislator. If you do not know who your legislator is, who your state representative, and listen, you have a state rep and a state senator. So you have two. But your area might have several. Like within Delaware County's area, we have District 33, District 34, District 35. It's all right there close together. And then that's state representatives. And then for the state senate, we have State Senate District 26, District 25, close by. I would be calling every one of them. And then I'll be honest, I'd go down the list and I'd call all 150 of these people. And I would say, listen, as a citizen of Indiana, I am demanding when this comes before you that you vote no on this. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then move on down. Move on down. Because this folks out there that are going to be saying, well, this isn't my fight. Everyone poo-poos it and says, I'm not fighting it till it comes to my door. This is coming to your door, folks. This is not just going to hurt the citizens that are police officers. Now, if you don't know who your state representative is or your state senator, and you want to look for who that is, all you got to do is let's see here. Come down here and click on legislation, go down by legislator, okay, and then you can see they're here. It's got your senators. You go all senators representatives, and when you click on them, let's just click on the first one. It's not going to let us do it. Okay, you click on the first one, and it's going to pull him up. All right, you see this here? And you see where it says visit caucus page, contact my office. Go to one of those. Go to Google, ask for contact information, ask for phone numbers, ask for email address, and it is all there. It's all there. Give me 1 second here. I want to pop this up here. Somebody asked a good question, and I want to put this up on the screen for everybody. Okay. Crap. Damn it. Okay, here we go. There we go. Let me go. I want to show you guys this because Sean asked this, and people need to see this. This is important for this. It's important for this situation, or honestly, it's important for any type of state house deal. If you are interested in testifying before either a committee or the full House or full Senate.
Link is already in the comments. I beat you to it. It's been up for a while.
Can you? I wanted to try to show it. Can you send that link to the private chat too, so I can click on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see here. I've got gremlins in the computer. Okay, there we go. We got the spinning beach ball of death going round and around. Here we go. I clicked on it there. There we go. So for those that are interested in speaking, if you're interested in finding out what you got to do, so you see this here, and you click. Okay, so you have to find the committee, House Veterans Affairs and Public Safety, and then you go and you look for scheduled meetings. The next one is Thursday at 8:30 a.m., January 30th, and it says testify in committee. You click on it. Okay. Now it takes us to a new page. And this is what the new page looks like.
Right now.
What?
You have to sign up the day of the committee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it won't, the form won't even open until then.
Oh, that's ludicrous.
Well, you can't have too many people who want to,
See, it's showing up, but then it stops. Let me see if I can do this and trick it. Here, give me a second. I'm gonna take a screenshot of it. Ooh, it's fast. See if I can. I'm gonna try it like this. Oh, you tricky bastard. Hey, I got it. Got you, asshole. I tell you what, they do it, and they do about anything and everything they can.
On the screen, man.
You got it? I'm off screen.
It's on the screen. I got it.
How did you get it?
Screenshot.
Okay. But did it keep going away?
Yeah.
That tricky asshole. So you fill in your information. This is an appearance form to testify in person before the committee of the Indiana General Assembly. By submitting this request, you are agreeing to testify in person at the Indiana State House. If you would like to express your opinion in support or opposition to legislation that is being presented in a committee, but do not want to testify in person at the committee hearing, you may do so by contacting your legislator using this link. If you are not able to submit this form prior to the start of the committee meeting, but would still like to testify in person, please plan to complete a paper appearance form in the meeting room as provided by the LSA committee staff. So you can do one of two things. You can fill it. You can wake up at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, however early you're going to wake up to do it that day, and submit it and do what you got to do. Or
just go to bed a little late and do the damn thing at 12:01 a.m.
Right. Yeah, right. You can do that. Or you can just show up and you can submit it in person there. So amazing that our Indiana state government allows you to sign up during the meeting while the meeting's going, but Delaware County commissioners, you can't do that. I'll have to keep that in my pocket for next Monday. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so that's coming up Thursday of this week. We will see about live streaming that committee meeting. What do I got going on? Okay, we've got nothing on Thursday, so we will live stream that committee meeting as long as they have it up. Then now they're pretty good about getting that stuff up, so we'll try to get that up and going. But I want to go back to this committee meeting, just a few more for a few more things, and show you guys this. Sean Long, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. See you, Sean. You have a good evening, and take care. And check back in if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe. Come back Thursday. We'll be live streaming that. I hope you get a chance to go down and testify. That stuff's very important, very good, and I'm always really big on people that do that. That's awesome. So that's good. Okay, just briefly here, I want to show you guys before we roll. I just want you guys to hear from these people a few more minutes here. The meeting now, if you want to watch this meeting, and this might be a good thing for anybody that's interested in this, if you want to watch this full thing, what I will do is I will copy the link and put it in the description, but just be aware that the Indiana General Assembly website is an absolute pain in the ass to operate. So I want to show you what you need to do if you want to watch this. So you go to the Indiana ILEA page, or not ILEA, excuse me, Indiana General Assembly page, talking about so many things that are similar. You go to the Indiana General Assembly page, okay, from here, and you do the same thing to find the bill. You go to click on bills. All right. You go to House. You go all the way down to 1186. And you click on 1186. Okay, when you do that, all right, you're on 1186. Now you're going to go to Bill Actions. Click on Bill Actions. And you come up here to Veterans Affairs Public Safety. You click on that. There's probably an easier way to do that. This is how I do it. When you get this screen to pop up where we were at to click, you click on Past Meetings. You click on Past Meetings. It's going to have January 23rd, January 14th. When you open the January 23rd, you click Watch Video. You open that up. That's what it is. You come down here where it says Meetings. You search for meeting, and you click on Thursday, January 23rd. And
then I'll put somebody on deck.
It pops that up. And so you can watch this. So if you want to watch this full video for yourselves, you can. That's how you can do that. And I would highly recommend, specifically anybody that's thinking about testifying, I would highly recommend anybody going down and taking a look at that. But okay, we're going to listen to just a little bit more of this because I want you guys to hear what they're saying here.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Thank you.
Ryan Swank.
Good morning, committee. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Ryan Swank, and this year I enter my 13th year of law enforcement, all with the Morgantown Police Department. Since January of 2020, I've served as the town marshal for the Morgantown area. I am a graduate of the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy Tier 2 Academy, as well as a certified general instructor from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Today, I would just like to express my concerns about the language of House Bill 1186 that limits the jurisdictional authority of academy graduates that have graduated from the Tier 2 Academy. I believe the current language is a risk to officer safety, public safety, as well as making it very challenging for small departments like mine to do quality police work that we're known to do. You know, obviously the first thing is if the MOU wouldn't be able to be signed, what about a state trooper or conservation officer that would be operating in the authority of a county that needs help, where I could possibly be seconds or a couple minutes behind, when it's not uncommon for sheriff's deputies to take 15 to 20 minutes minimum to get to our jurisdiction. The same thing with public safety. I believe that a trained law enforcement officer that's certified from the Law Enforcement Academy, that is minutes or seconds away from a serious car crash, a violent crime, or really just administrative functions, VIN checks, things like that. We want to serve the public the best we can. And then finally, just about making our job a lot harder. One thing that I've noticed, our investigations are never the same. They can be complex, they can be lengthy, and most crimes, they just don't happen in Morgantown. If somebody steals a car in Morgantown, typically they don't take it across the street and leave it. It's going to be, involving other agencies outside of our jurisdiction and things like that. An example that I can give you guys is several years ago, one of our automotive shops in town was burglarized. An expensive Snap-on diagnostic scanner was taken, and we located it for sale in the northern regions of Indiana, Fort Wayne, I believe it was. If that was to happen and this bill was to pass, I don't think that we can expect what jurisdictions that we need to have MOUs with. And if that was on a Saturday, if it was on a Christmas weekend when time is of the essence to get a search warrant and go up there, I think it starts making us, do a disservice to our investigations. The next thing I wanted to bring up is that I would assume that most tier 2 academy jurisdictions like mine are not the county seat. So when we arrest somebody and have to transport them to the county jail that is outside of our jurisdiction, hospital clearances, court testimony, I don't feel like that we should be limited to that just because the city seat does not want to do business with us. And then finally, I would just like to bring up that I think that even though we would probably be able to come up with MOU agreements, especially in my situation, I think that attorneys, town councils, and mayors could also limit this, even if the sheriff or the chief of police of that agency would be willing to sign it. Also including that most command staff positions are appointed by the town councils, the mayors, and things like that, that typically change pretty quick other than the sheriff. So I think it would be very hard for us to keep up on if our MOUs are valid if somebody is fired from being the police chief on Thursday and we need to take action on a Thursday night and we haven't been given that. And then finally, another complexity is that there are a few hours of the night that we do not have coverage, that we rely on the sheriff's department. Our neighboring community of Nashville sometimes has stepped up to help, and then would they need an MOU with us or the sheriff's department if they're coming over to Morgantown to help in a call where there's multiple jurisdictions or one of us isn't here? I think that the tier 2 is as a standard that is recognized that we are law enforcement officers in the state of Indiana. And for the reasons that I've given you, I would just ask you guys to remove the language from the bill that would limit the jurisdictional authority of tier 2 graduates. I'd just like to thank you guys again for the time. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yep. Do we have any questions from the committee? Go ahead, Representative Bartels.
Thank you for your testimony. Two questions. So the same question as before. Do you believe that if we took this pre-basic training 40-hour and limited their police powers to the jurisdiction that the authority that gave them until they passed tier 1, tier 2, would you be in favor of that? So these folks that are, you deputize somebody and they've got a year to complete the tier 1 or tier 2 training.
Correct.
Would you be in favor of limiting their jurisdiction to the authority that gave them the authority until they passed tier 1, tier 2?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then one last question, Madam Chair. Do you allow those folks to work off-duty jobs in security?
Our standard operating procedures do not allow anyone to work off-duty security the first year while they're on probation. Our reserve force, even though it's very small, in Morgantown is not allowed to work any off-duty security whatsoever. And then once they are off of their 1-year probation, which would mean they are a tier 1 or tier 2 graduate, all off-duty security has to be approved in writing through me and meet the criteria of, if alcohol is the main money maker for that facility, they're not allowed to work there.
Would you be in favor of state policy that basically says that if you're in that interim before you've gone tier 1, tier 2, that you cannot work outside your jurisdiction, even in security, and or wear the uniform in security until you've actually passed tier 1, tier 2?
I would.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the committee? Okay. Thank you, sir. The next person we have is Terrence Smith. Do we have?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like if he wants to run his department how he wants to run his department, and they don't let their reserves work security places. I mean, that's crazy kind of to me in my mind, but well, okay, whatever. That's on him how he wants to do with that. And if he listen what they're saying. So they're saying for example, let's look at this. 23-year-old goes and gets hired in Anderson or Muncie tomorrow, gets hired by MPD, and they take their 40-hour pre-basic, and they do their 40-hour pre-basic, and they're now sworn in. They're now a police officer for the city of Muncie, and they start with their field training officer, and they're with that field training officer, and they go through the field training program pre-academy until they go to ILEA for their tier 1 training 6 months from that time. And then they go to the training academy, and they're there for 15 weeks. They graduate, they come back, and they're with field training officer more time. And then they get cut loose, and then they're in their probationary year. Good. Wonderful. Now, let's say you're going to Parker City in Randolph County, which I think Parker is the only place around here that I know that does tier 2. Everywhere else does tier 1 that I know of. So Parker does tier 2. So you go and you get hired full-time in Parker. And you take your 40-hour pre-basic, and you're with your guy, and you go to tier 2, and you're in there. You go there 2 months later, and you come back and whatever. Okay, now, let's say you're a reserve for the city of Muncie, or you're a reserve for Parker. You do the 40-hour pre-basic, and then you're with a field training officer, and they have them in there for a long time. At the point that they cut you loose, and you're now a reserve police officer answering and taking calls in that jurisdiction, and you're on your own, to me, it's the same thing as what they're saying about the tier 2. If ILEA is saying, yep, once you've taken your 40-hour and once they feel like you're good, you can work calls like that. And if the municipality is saying, we're okay with you answering calls here, it's the same thing as the tier 2. If you're saying that I'm okay to be a cop here and that I can arrest somebody or shoot somebody here, take somebody's liberty, take somebody's life at Walnut and McGalliard, why are you saying that I can't do that at Scatterfield and 9th Street or whatever? I don't know Anderson, but you know what I'm talking about? Like, that just makes no sense to me. And again, it should come down to the departments and the town boards and the mayors and the town councils and the merit commissions and all that making the rules. It shouldn't. This is not a good thing. And I'm telling everybody out there, you need to get a hold of your representatives, get a hold of your state senators, and tell them that you do not agree with this, because I don't care if you hate police officers, you don't like police officers. That's fine. When your house is getting broken into at 3 o'clock in the morning, you live in an unincorporated area, and you need help, man. It's going to be bad when the guy down the street's waiting 15 minutes till the sheriff's deputy gets there. So we're going to follow this up on Thursday. We'll keep you guys posted. I think we have something special tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow at 9 p.m. And then Thursday we will live stream the committee hearing, and then we'll be back here then. So we'll be back here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Hit like on your way out the door, ladies and gentlemen, if you would. That would be fantastic. Share this episode with everyone you know. That could be very, very helpful, because we want to help spread the word. Get a hold of your representatives. Get a hold of your state senators. If you need help with that, don't hesitate to hit me up. You can hit me up on social media. You can find us on social media. There you go. We're on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X. There's the studio line. You can text me. You can email me. You can email me personally. You can email the program, and we will get a hold of you. Facebook.com/Bilbrey318. That's my personal Facebook page. Put everything on there. Or Facebook.com/Political Spotlight 318. We put stuff there. We're on X. X is Bilbrey Live. So definitely check us out and help spread the word. this is an important show that you're going to want to spread the link to so people can see, because this is going to affect everybody in Indiana, in my opinion, in various ways. So hit the like before you leave, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a wonderful Tuesday. God bless each and every one of you. Take care and good night.